History. It's not just about dusty old dates and long-gone empires. It's full of surprises, strange stories, and downright weird events that'll make you wonder if someone was making it all up. We're talking about the kind of stuff that makes you go, wait, what? That really happened? Buckle up because we're about to dive into the wacky, the unbelievable, and the downright bizarre side of history. Ready to have your mind blown? From ancient fashion choices that would make a modern stylist faint to scientific discoveries sparked by bar beds, we've got it all. These aren't just random weird facts. These are carefully researched, totally true stories that prove history is anything but boring. So put on your skeptical hats and get ready for a wild ride through time. We're about to uncover the hidden gems of history, the ones that make you laugh, scratch your head and say, you can't make this stuff up. Get ready to see the past in a whole new light. Trust me, after this, you'll never think of history as just names and dates again. Let's go! Let's face it, fashion has always been a bit out there, but our ancestors, they took it to a whole new level. We're talking about trends so bizarre they'd make even Lady Gaga blush. Take ancient Rome, for example. Think togas and sandals, right? Well, hold on to your horses. Roman emperors weren't exactly known for their understated style. One emperor, Commodus, was particularly fond of a rather unusual accessory lion skin. And we're not talking about a subtle trim here. He'd rock up to the Colosseum decked out in a full lion skin outfit, complete with a mane and claws. Apparently, he thought it made him look fierce. To be fair, it probably did. But practical, not so much. And don't even get us started on the wigs. Ancient Egyptians, both men and women, were big fans of these elaborate hairpieces. We're talking towering structures made of human hair, wool, even vegetable fibers. Talk about a bad hair day waiting to happen. They even had special cones of perfumed animal fat they'd wear on top of their wigs. The heat would melt the fat, releasing a fragrant, hopefully, scent. Now, we all know fashion is about expressing yourself, but you have to wonder what they were thinking. Maybe they knew something we don't. Or maybe they were just really, really into statement pieces. Whatever the reason, one thing's for sure. Ancient fashion was anything but boring. The medieval period. Knights in shining armor, grand castles, and trials by animals? Yes, you heard that correctly. In an era where chivalry and grandeur were the norms, there existed a peculiar and fascinating practice that might seem utterly bizarre to us today. Yep, you read that right. Forget lawyers and juries. In medieval Europe, they'd let animals decide your fate. This wasn't just a rare occurrence, but a rather common practice that reflected the unique legal and cultural landscape of the time. Talk about a kangaroo court. These weren't your typical animal encounters either. Imagine standing in a courtroom not facing a human judge, but an animal that would determine your guilt or innocence. The sheer absurdity of it is mind-boggling. We're talking about facing off against creatures like donkeys, snakes, even a wheel of cheese. Yes, even inanimate objects like cheese were sometimes used in these trials. The logic behind these trials was often rooted in deep-seated superstitions and religious beliefs. Take, for instance, the trial by ordeal. This bizarre legal practice involved subjecting the accused to a painful experience. The belief was that divine intervention would reveal the truth. If you were innocent, God would protect you from harm. The idea was that God would intervene and save the innocent. This practice was a testament to the strong influence of religion in medieval society. People genuinely believed that divine forces would ensure justice. One popular ordeal was the hot iron ordeal. The accused had to carry a piece of red-hot iron for a certain distance. The pain and potential for injury were immense, but it was believed that an innocent person would miraculously avoid severe harm. If their hand healed cleanly, they were innocent. If not, well, let's just say they were in for a rough time. The healing process was seen as a sign of divine favor or disfavor, and it could mean the difference between freedom and severe punishment. And then there was the trial by combat. Think of it as medieval MMA, where the winner was declared innocent. This was a brutal and often deadly way to resolve disputes, but it was believed that the victor was chosen by divine will. Sounds fair, right? Except sometimes they didn't even use humans. In some cases, animals were pitted against each other, or even against humans, to determine the outcome of a trial. The idea was that the natural world, guided by divine forces, would reveal the truth. There are records of animals being put on trial for crimes. In one case, a group of rats was accused of eating a barley crop. The absurdity of such trials highlights the unique and often bewildering nature of medieval justice. The rats were even assigned a lawyer and given a court date. This wasn't an isolated incident. There are numerous records of animals being tried for various offenses, from theft to murder. The legal system of the time was a curious blend of superstition, religion, and a rudimentary understanding of justice. These trials might seem absurd to us now, but they tell us a lot about the beliefs and values of the time. They reveal a society deeply intertwined with religious and superstitious beliefs, where the line between the natural and supernatural was often blurred. It was a world where religion and superstition reigned supreme. The legal practices of the time were heavily influenced by these beliefs, and the idea of divine intervention was a cornerstone of medieval justice. And sometimes, the fate of a man, or a rat apparently, rested on the whims of an animal. These trials, as strange as they may seem, offer a fascinating glimpse into the medieval mindset and the ways in which people sought to understand and administer justice in a world governed by forces beyond their control. The Renaissance, a time of great art, groundbreaking science, and exploding kings? You heard that right. This isn't some gruesome fairy tale. It's the bizarre but true story of King Charles II of Navarre, also known as Charles the Bad. Now, we're not saying he deserved to go out with a bang, but his demise was certainly dramatic. King Charles was known for his partying ways and love of all things luxurious. But he also suffered from a strange ailment. He was so thin and weak that he could barely walk. His doctors were baffled. They prescribed all sorts of remedies, including a rather unusual one, being sewn into a cloth sack soaked in brandy. The idea was to strengthen his skin. Not exactly the most scientific approach, but hey, it was the 14th century. One fateful night, as the king lay in bed, sewn into his brandy-soaked cocoon, a servant approached with a candle to seal the seams. And you can probably guess what happened next. The highly flammable brandy ignited, engulfing the king in flames. Talk about going out in a blaze of glory. It's a cautionary tale, really, about the dangers of mixing alcohol and open flames. But it's also a reminder that even in the midst of the Renaissance, with all its progress and enlightenment, life could be surprisingly and explosively unpredictable.